Making money stretch hasn't been easy these days, with consumer prices through the roof on goods across many categories. Not only that, goods are one price one week and then another price the next week, often making shopping even more frustrating. Is it pure merchant greed? No, it's inflation, and it's affecting retailers everywhere. Today, we're going to talk about it. You're watching You and Your Money.
You and Your Money is brought to you by AML Foods Limited, Super Value, 𝗪𝗠𝗧𝗛 Agency Limited, the Salvation Army, and Central Bank of the Bahamas.
Welcome to You and Your Money, everyone. Joining me today to talk about the impact of inflation on the retail sector is Shanalee Store, a business consultant who focuses on economics and finance. Shanalee, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Before we dive into today's topic, just briefly explain what inflation is.
Inflation is simply the increase in prices of goods and services within the market. Now, what needs to happen is there needs to be consideration of what type of inflation is being experienced. In some instances, it's simply a matter of too much money chasing too much goods. That is considered to be demand pull inflation. The demand for the goods or services, as we saw with COVID-19, for hand sanitizers and alcohol, pushed the price up. That's one kind of inflation. The other one is cost push inflation. And this is what we're seeing right now with the supply chain and the cost of prices rising in the grocery stores.
So one of the major contributors to the high inflation we're seeing, especially in the food categories, is supply chain related issues. Talk about the current supply chain issues retailers are facing. What are they and why are they occurring?
All right. So we can't say current without looking at what has happened over the past 2 years. We're still experiencing some impact from that because of the bottlenecks that were found during COVID-19. We had issues with employees staying on jobs, producing what they needed to produce because people were sick. The pandemic was real. And as a result, there was a delay in the supply of certain goods and services that we're still experiencing now, in addition to the rise in fuel costs over that time period. We have a multitude of different things that we're currently dealing with that's added to the state of the supply chain at that time.
You know, it's interesting that you actually talked on the employees and you know, them being sick and not being able to show up to work, and the effects that it actually had on the overall supply chain process, because a lot of times people just think about, you know, the manufacturers, they're not doing this or they're not doing that, but not necessarily thinking about the actual employee that actually have to do the work too.
That is so true.
So in November, there was a significant increase in the price of lettuce globally. Before, local grocers were paying around $57 for a case of lettuce. Now we're hearing reports that they're having to pay $125 per case. Do you know what caused this spike?
Well, in 2020, we had an instance of this as well, right? Farmers were unaware of what the demand would be, and they, as a result, did not produce as much, specifically lettuce, as they would have conventionally done. Now what we're dealing with is a drought in places like California and disease that has also impacted the production of lettuce, romaine, and iceberg. So this is what we're experiencing now, causing the prices to go up.
Now, having to deal with the disease part of farming and the issues and even the drought, I mean, many times people probably wouldn't even consider that these are factors that's causing the prices to be increased.
That is true. So what would have happened is farmers would have been able to produce, let's say, 800 heads. They're seeing an impact of 70 to 80% less yield. And so, again, we're feeling that in the grocery store. So they would not have ordinarily been raising the prices. But because the cost to produce and the volume that they're able to produce has been limited, that has pushed the price up. This is a natural disaster and that is also, you know, impacting that in addition to the disease. So we're dealing with drought, and we're dealing with the disease. So it's twofold for them. So it's not just simply a matter of trying to increase the prices.
And I think there has to be a greater appreciation, even from the consumer's perspective, as to what these retailers are actually having to do in order for them to supply the demand that we actually have.
Yes. You know, when you're looking at your grocery bill, you only want to consider what your budget is and what you have to spend for your family for the duration of a year, 6 months. Whenever we're experiencing something that would not ordinarily be experienced, like a pandemic, it causes you to shift what you're able to actually purchase. And so I think a lot of consumers have been looking a little closer at their budget, at their bills, and noticing how much the increase is impacting what they're able to buy. $100 doesn't go as far as it used to, you know, about a year plus ago. So yes, I can understand and empathize with consumers on seeing the price increase, but believe you me, it is because of a number of different issues we're experiencing economically, locally, and globally.
Apart from the supply chain related issues, what are some other issues that are contributing to the high prices we're seeing in the stores? So,
you know that we have, China is still on a zero COVID policy. So again, production, being able to ship out on time. They had issues with containers prior. So that was one of the bottleneck issues that we had. Okay, so that in addition to, you know, employment not being increased the way that it needs to, because there's still a fall in employment. Those are major issues that we're experiencing in addition to the war between, you know, Ukraine and Russia, because this impacts fuel, and we know we need fuel for production. So collectively, it's a number of those things that are causing this.
So based on that, what is the forecast for 2023, and will we continue to see prices rising?
Economists are twofold with this. Some are saying there's an expectation by the end of 2023 to see some change, right? The feds have increased interest rates over the last year about 6 or 7 times in order to combat inflation, right? And the last increase, it was 0.5%, right? So inflation is lower than they would have been expecting. So signs are there that the increase in interest rates has actually been making some change when it comes to inflation. So we may see some change as it relates to the costs of goods and services going down over the course of 2023 into 2024. They will continue to monitor and make adjustments. Increasing interest rates decreases the supply of money because it makes it more expensive for people to come and actually borrow. That means that if you don't get the money to borrow, you can't put that money into the economy, which means that there's less money chasing the goods.
Listen, you just said a whole mouthful, but Shanalee, we've got to take a quick break, and we have so much more to talk about when we get back. This is You and Your Money. We'll be right back.
Happy holidays from our entire family at Super Value and Quality Supermarkets. Chef Boyardee spaghetti and meatballs, 15 ounce, $1.49. Muller's Ready Cut macaroni, 16 ounce, $2.09. First Choice sugar, 4 pounds, $2.39. Robin Hood flour, 5.5 pounds, $5.29. Chicken leg quarters, 10-pound bag, 89 cents per pound. Full variety of Butterball and Jenny-O turkeys, regular and picnic clams at Super Value and Quality Supermarkets.
The Salvation Army Bahamas helps thousands of individuals and families in need. This is why your donations at Red Kettles are so important. If you don't carry cash, donate Sand Dollars, the digital version of the Bahamian dollar. Use any Sand Dollar-enabled digital wallet to scan the QR code at Salvation Army Kettles or to donate Sand Dollars remotely. For a list of providers and to learn more about the digital Bahamian dollar, visit sanddollar.bs.
At Koshright, our members know that there's a lot to smile about. They know that membership has its privileges. Guaranteed low pricing on every item, every time you shop. Each membership comes with 2 cards. That's one for you and a free card for a member of your household. Gold card holders earn an annual 2% rebate up to $500. KoshRite members get discounts at other participating businesses. So that's a lot to smile about. Whether it be clothing, appliances, home goods, or groceries, shop at KoshRite, where membership truly has its privileges.
Welcome back to You and Your Money. Today, we're talking about the impact of inflation on the retail sector. Still with us is business consultant Shanalee Store. Shanalee, many of our viewers are also business owners. Some operate within the retail sector. What are some ways retailers can minimize the impact of supply chain disruptions?
But I'd say two ways would be, one, diversifying your suppliers, right, for redundancy purposes to ensure that you have negotiating power in order to shop around what goods or service you're actually trying to procure. An additional thing would be to minimize the amount of nodes along the supply chain. That may mean that you can source certain goods or services locally instead of going globally or internationally in order to get those goods or services.
Negotiation is definitely a skill that many business owners need to make sure that they employ as they're having these conversations. How do you advise business owners to implement price increases without losing customers?
One of the ways that you can do that is by offering bundled services or goods, meaning that your higher price item you bundle with more supportive goods or services, right, that go well together, so they're complementary. Right? That allows the consumer to feel that they're getting value for their money, even though you're increasing the prices just a little bit. An additional thing would be to add another tier of good or service, something that's more refined, that's smaller, that's less expensive, but that does not put you in a bind when it comes to making the profits that you need to operate. So those, I'd say, are two really good ways to do it without offending your consumer or making them feel that you're just increasing prices, but they're getting something in exchange. Give them a heads up as well. If you're gonna increase your prices, let them know, hey, this might be the last time you receive this good or service for this price. There's going to be a 10 or 20%, whatever it is, increase, but loyalty matters, and some customers will stick with you because you have communicated that with them.
I like that you said loyalty matters. If some persons really could just take a few seconds just to think long and hard about loyalty being a thing that really matters for their customers, I think businesses will definitely go much further. The other part of it, even talking about the value add, you know, we see even in some of the other places where you see the value meals, like those are some of those things too, just as an idea as to how you can actually put these different products together in terms of being able to offer it to the clients. Some retailers may need to look for ways to cut costs. What are some do's and don'ts of cost cutting?
Right, so the one go-to when it comes to cutting costs overall for operating a business is the operation cost and reducing wages, meaning that you reduce the amount of employees that are operating. Now, this can be good and bad, right? Because if you reduce your employees, but you're not being as efficient as you need in providing the good or service to your customers, then you lose, because that customer is not gonna stay. They're not gonna stick it out. They're gonna walk out of your store. So I think retailers need to be conscious of that. You wanna assess your processes and see where there are any efficiencies that you can capitalize on. That may mean introducing some technology instead of actually having a full-time employee and using that employee in a different area that increases your efficiency.
The way I put it is aces in their places, right? As you put the skill and the expertise in the right place, you're definitely looking at getting a lot more productivity out of them and definitely a value for your money.
Definitely.
Let's talk a little bit more about how increased expenses can limit the cash flow. Do you think it's wise to apply for a loan to help with working capital during high inflation?
It's twofold, right? Because for the persons that are giving out the loans, that works for them. So they have no problem giving you a loan during high inflation. They can get the interest rates that they want. As far as a business owner goes, right, what that means is that when you take that money at that high interest rate and you lock in for that term, whether it's 3, 4, 5 years, you're still gonna have to pay at that interest rate, regardless of the purchasing power that you have with your money. So when you go out now to source your goods or service, the price is going to be what it is going to be. You're going to have to still pay off that loan at the rate that you took it out. If you've locked in a loan prior to increases in interest rates, then that's perfect. You can continue. It's almost like you get to have more purchasing power, pay back the person's less than what you were initially borrowed, right? But if you do it during high interest rates, that is going to increase your overall cost for that loan. And you're not going to have the same amount of purchasing power as you would at lower interest rates.
The takeaway there for me is pay attention to the interest rates.
Definitely.
How can retailers leverage technology to combat inflation?
So, the cloud is a big thing, right? You have specific providers that offer you a bundle of services like email and website and all that sort of thing. And you can automate a lot of it now. So rather than have someone just answer your phone calls just to say, hey, good afternoon, whatever, how may I help you? You get a chance to have a more automated process, whereas a customer can send you an email and you can get to it in a decent time and have all the details of that customer's request. And then reach out on a personal level to say, hey, I have seen your email, I've received your message, and I'm going to be able to assist you. And so that gives that connection, as opposed to just using an automated service where the customer is round and round in circles and never talks to a human being. So there's a give and take with using technology. If used wisely, it can be beneficial to improve your company's efficiency.
You talked about technology, and I can't help but think about the person who is saying, something, I hear you about technology, but I am challenged with technology. What advice would you actually give to them to say, something, let's take this first step that's going to help you in that place of process improvement as well as automation?
Your future is hidden in your daily routine. If you want to see your company succeed, you're going to have to make those minor sacrifices. You may not be good at technology, but that's an easily solvable problem. There's enough information out there on the internet that you can tap into. And it only requires 1 or 2 hours, maybe a day for a short period of time, after which you can move forward from this major, obstacle when it comes to growing your business.
Shanalee, thank you so much for coming on the show. How can viewers get in touch with you?
Well, I'm always available. My cell phone, 823-4221, email address, shanalee.store@peakbah.com. I'm on all the social media platforms. You can find me. Just drop me an email, drop me a WhatsApp, and I will reply. Let me know what you need.
Thank you so much. This is You and Your Money. We'll be right back.
Happy holidays from our entire family at Super Value and Quality Supermarkets. Chef Boyardee spaghetti and meatballs, 15 ounce, $1.49. Muller's Ready Cup macaroni, 16 ounce, $2.09. First Choice Sugar, 4 pounds, $2.39. Robin Hood flour, 5.5 pounds, $5.29. Chicken leg quarters, 10-pound bag, 89 cents per pound. Full variety of Butterball and Jenny-O turkeys, regular and picnic cams at Super Value and Quality Supermarkets.
With the help of our authorized financial institutions, or AFIs, using sand dollars is as easy as 1, 2, 3.
Step 1. Identify your preferred AFI by browsing their websites or contacting them directly. Step 2. Download the free mobile application from Google Play or the Apple Store and then register for a sand dollar account. Step 3. Load money onto your mobile app and begin sending and receiving sand dollars or purchasing and selling goods and services.
We are pleased to be
your central bank approved
digital wallet providers.
It does not matter
which of us you choose.
You can pay for goods and services
wherever sand dollar is accepted.
We are all in this together.
Visit sanddollar.bs for more information.
At Koshright, our members know that there's a lot to smile about. They know that membership has its privileges. Guaranteed low pricing on every item, every time you shop. Each membership comes with 2 cards. That's one for you and a free card for a member of your household. Gold card holders earn an annual 2% rebate up to $500. 𝗪𝗏𝗏 members get discounts at other participating businesses. So that's a lot to smile about. Whether it be clothing, appliances, home goods, or groceries, shop at 𝗪𝗏𝗏, where membership truly has its privileges.
The Salvation Army Bahamas helps thousands of individuals and families in need. This is why your donations at Red Kettles are so important. If you don't carry cash, donate sand dollars, the digital version of the Bahamian dollar. Use any sand dollar enabled digital wallet to scan the QR code at Salvation Army Kettles or to donate sand dollars remotely. For a list of providers and to learn more about the digital Bahamian dollar, visit sanddollar.bs.
Welcome back to You and Your Money. The holiday season is here. One locally produced line of products we may want to consider buying in food stores this holiday season is Mami's. Here to talk about the Mami's brand is Mami's founder and the owner of Little Things Trading International is Eain Munnings. Eain, welcome to the show.
A pleasure to be here.
Your flagship product is the Mami's Johnny Cake Mix. Tell us about the Johnny Cake Mix and some of the other products that you offer.
Well, the Johnny Cake Mix is a depiction of us as a Bahamian people. I traveled extensively and I saw how a lot of countries had things that indigenous to their people. And I was like, why don't we have things that identify us beyond just the music and the sound? I said, what about the taste? And my grandmother was actually a renowned baker. And her mother was a baker, and they come from a lineage where we call them Mamis. And in the Caribbean, we call our grandmothers Mami. So with my grandmother being a baker, and I was like, my great-grandmother was a baker, and all of them were bakers, and people flew from all over the world to come and eat their bread, etc. Things that they cooked that are known for the Bahamian culture itself. And I was like, you know what? It's time that I take this recipe that they have and actually patent that, put it in a box, and actually have that where we can put that on an international market.
Congratulations to you on doing such an amazing job in terms of having to, first of all, take the recipe and now put it into a package that other people can just simply read the instructions and apply it. And then they have their Johnny Cake.
Simple and easy. The newer generation of individuals, a lot of the things that Grammy would have or Mami would have taught you or taught your mother and so forth, not necessarily translated into going forward to the next generation. So it's like now with what we did and made it so simple that not only the Bahamian people or the Bahamian diaspora can do this product, well, easy as 1, 2, 3, but the foreigners alike can actually join in on the festive baking, etc., and sharing in the love and just what the Bahamian people were used to, our culture.
Now, we talked about the Johnny Cake. Let's talk about some of the other products that you offer as well.
So I wanted to get creative and I said, you know what, we needed to create a brand that would be a full flag carrying ship for the Bahamas. One where we would be able to embody every item that we call or consider to be Bahamian underneath one flagship brand, which is now the Mami's brand. We created a guava cake mix, similar to the guava duff. So the cake mix itself can be used to create a duff-like kind of thing, or you can use it as a cake, which has a spin on it. But the key to that whole thing is that the Bahamas, with the guava cake mix under Mami's, is the only guava cake mix that is found in a cake mix box in the world. And it's right here in the Bahamas.
Wow, a guava cake mix.
Yes, ma'am.
Holiday season. As a matter of fact, beyond the holiday season, you can have this guava cake mix. Is there any other products that
Listen, we didn't stop there. We wanted to continue the trend of giving the Bahamian people what they're used to in terms of things that reminded them of what family and what culture was all about. We also created a fritter all-in-one mix. And you're gonna ask me, what is a fritter all-in-one mix? We patterned a mixture of ingredients to create a fritter, a sense of a fritter mix. What you do with the fritter mix is basically you add any choice of meat that you have in your house that you may have leave over or you might have bought, like the shrimp, your chicken, your veggie, your corn, whatever you decided to add to your actual, you could even mix them. but you can add that to the actual dry mix. And the dry mix is we did the dry mix, and it took the place of getting a conch fritter batter. If somebody was allergic to a conch fritter, the conch itself, you couldn't use that as something that you would give them. And then you would take up a lot of space putting that in the fridge to be stored and all of that. So we took away all of that particular hard work. We also offer a pancake line. It is a pancake and waffle mix, all in one mix. And the thing about our pancake and waffle mix, we wanted to give a little bit of the American, but give it a Bahamian twist. Since we have 700 islands, reefs, and keys, we wanted to give the populace internal and external an idea of what could be, the possibilities of what it can be. And because we are flavorful islands and flavorful people, I decided to create this brand of pancakes with syrups to go along with them. We have 7 different flavors, with some of the mainly ones that you would know, like a strawberry, a blueberry. We had a gluten-free. We also have the banana pancakes, and then we have blueberry sauce, strawberry sauce, and also to go along with them as syrups. I mean, so what we wanted to do is just knock it out of the box and put the Bahamas on the map and make it a staple that we're not just here to compete, but we're here to come and take it all over.
You sound like you have such an expansive brand.
It is.
How would you say your prices compare to similar imported brands?
The thing about it is being a local producer, and I produce locally and internationally, but being a brand owner, it gives me the right, or it gives me the stepping stone to be able to be competitive with my pricing because I own the brand in itself. What we find that is a lot of wholesalers and so forth, they're bringing in imported brands. And by them bringing imported brands, they don't set the mark basically for what the product is going to be with inflations. But me being the brand owner, I set the pace of what it could be. So for me, I'm more competitive. My prices are going to be more competitive than they are because I am the brand owner. And I believe that price gouging can happen. And I think that a lot of things do happen. There is inflation that's happening. But being the brand owner, it gives you still a level of control where you can still say what my margins are going to be and to put my prices just where they need to be for the consumers itself.
Well, thank you so much for letting us know. Where can consumers buy the Mami's brand, and what's the best way to get in touch with you for the wholesale purchases?
Well, the Mami's brand is sold to all of the local stores. You can find them in all the local stores like the Super Values, the Extra Values, the Candid Food stores, the Ferguson's, the Courtesies. I mean, expansive, all of the Chinese that we have here. So the brand itself is spread all out. Some of the hotels carry the brand also. But if you're looking also to buy the wholesale, you can contact us on 556-9273, and you can ask for me, that's my direct sell, which I'm the CEO of the company, and you can get a good price in terms of the wholesale.
Eain, I want to thank you, and not just for coming on the show, but also for being the one that would want to step out and do something different, and having to put some of our Bahamian dishes, or not even so much dishes, but our Johnny cake, the pancake, all of these things in a box, making it easy and convenient for us to get a taste of what it's like to be in our grandmother's kitchen.
But our country basically needs it, and more than ever. We've seen the pandemics, we've seen catastrophic things happen like a Dorian, etc. And we've seen where other countries are determining the price of food to us. It's our country. As consumers, we have to understand the need of buying local or supporting local businesses or entrepreneurs or persons that are coming outside the box to do something differently. And it's not just me, but I want to set a pace that all other Bahamians can understand is that the shelves in the food stores are massive. So it's an opportunity for any young entrepreneur or business person to understand that create a product and make sure that you give the best quality product along with yourself, sell yourself pretty well, and put that product out there. And let's see where it goes, not just local, but international. The Bahamas should be on the map, and the Bahamas has to consider having food security as their #1 basis, and if we don't do that, then we become subservient to those that do produce. So me being one of those that are producing the food product, for me, it sends a message to them that we're trying to do something as a young Bahamians in the country to make a change.
Well, thank you again. That's it for today's show. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to follow You and Your Money on social media, and tune in next week for a brand new episode. I'm Ria Christina. See you next time.